In this section, we will learn how to identify and assess potential risks in your projects or tasks. Risks are events or circumstances that can have a positive or negative impact on your project objectives. Identifying and assessing risks can help you prevent or prepare for them, and increase your chances of success. The first step to identify and assess risks is to brainstorm all the possible risks that your project might face. You can use different methods to generate ideas, such as reviewing documents, interviewing stakeholders, using risk prompt lists, or conducting a SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis is a tool that helps you identify the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of your project. The second step is to determine the likelihood and impact of each risk. Likelihood is how probable it is that a risk will occur. Impact is how much it will affect your project if it does occur. You can use a scale of low, medium, or high to rate the likelihood and impact of each risk. Alternatively, you can use numerical values or percentages to quantify them. The third step is to prioritize the risks based on their likelihood and impact. You can use a risk matrix to plot the risks on a chart with two axes: likelihood and impact. The risk matrix will help you visualize which risks are more urgent and important to address. Generally, the risks that are in the upper right quadrant of the matrix are the highest priority, while the ones in the lower left quadrant are the lowest priority. The fourth step is to make a plan for managing the risks. Depending on the type and level of risk, you can choose different strategies to deal with them. For example, you can avoid a risk by eliminating its source or changing your plan. You can mitigate a risk by reducing its likelihood or impact. You can transfer a risk by sharing it with another party, such as an insurance company. Or you can accept a risk by acknowledging it and preparing for its consequences. The fifth step is to monitor and review the risks throughout the project. Risks are not static. They can change over time due to internal or external factors. Therefore, you need to keep track of the status and performance of your project, and update your risk assessment accordingly. You also need to communicate any changes or issues with your team and stakeholders, and adjust your plan as needed. The sixth step is to learn from the risks that occur during your project. Whether positive or negative, risks can provide valuable lessons for future projects. You can document the outcomes and impacts of each risk, and analyze what went well and what could be improved. You can also share your findings and feedback with your team and stakeholders, and celebrate your achievements. By following these 6 steps, you can pump up your risk management skills with Smart Talk. You can identify and assess potential risks in your projects or tasks, and take proactive actions to ensure your project success. One of the most important skills for a risk manager is communication. Communication is essential for managing risks effectively and ensuring that stakeholders and team members are aware of the risks and their impacts on the project or business. Communication involves both sharing information and listening to feedback. A risk manager needs to communicate clearly, concisely, and consistently with different audiences, using appropriate methods and tools. Some examples of communication methods and tools are reports, written documents that provide detailed information on the risk identification, analysis, evaluation, and treatment processes and outcomes. Reports can be used to inform senior management, clients, regulators, or other external parties about the risk status and actions taken. Dashboards, visual displays that show key risk indicators, such as probability, impact, exposure, response status, and trends. Dashboards can be used to monitor and communicate the risk performance and progress to internal stakeholders, such as project managers, team members, or functional managers. Meetings, face-to-face or virtual interactions that allow for discussion and collaboration on risk-related topics. Meetings can be used to communicate risk updates, issues, changes, or decisions to relevant stakeholders or team members. Presentations, oral or visual presentations that summarize and highlight the main points of risk management. Presentations can be used to communicate risk findings, recommendations, or best practices to senior management, clients, regulators, or other external parties. A risk manager should use a combination of these methods and tools to communicate effectively with stakeholders and team members about the risks and their impacts. However, communication is not a one-way process. A risk manager also needs to listen to feedback from stakeholders and team members and incorporate their inputs, concerns, or suggestions into the risk management process. Listening is a crucial skill for a risk manager because it helps to build trust and rapport with stakeholders and team members, understand the needs, expectations, and perspectives of different parties, identify potential risks or opportunities that may not be obvious, resolve conflicts or disagreements that may arise due to different risk perceptions or preferences, encourage participation and collaboration in risk management activities. A risk manager should listen actively and empathetically to stakeholders and team members and ask open-ended questions to clarify or explore their views. A risk manager should also acknowledge and respect the feedback received and provide constructive responses. By communicating effectively with stakeholders and team members about the risks and their impacts, a risk manager can increase awareness and understanding of the risks and their implications, align the risk objectives and strategies with the project or business goals, gain support and commitment for the risk management actions, enhance the risk culture and maturity of the organization, improve the risk management performance and outcomes. Communication is a vital skill for a risk manager that can help to pump up your risk management skills with Smart Talk. In this section, I will show you how to use Smart Talk techniques to persuade, negotiate, and resolve conflicts related to risk management. Smart Talk is the art of communicating effectively and confidently in any situation, whether it's planned or spontaneous. By using Smart Talk, you can improve your risk management skills and achieve better outcomes for yourself and your organization. Here are some of the Smart Talk techniques that you can use. Describe. When you are faced with a risk or a problem, describe it clearly and objectively, without blaming or judging anyone. This will help you establish a common ground and a shared understanding with your audience. For example, you can say,